At this time, every single day of the working week, we get to step into the world of the news, the stories, the headlines, making the rounds, and of course, getting everyone talking and wondering what exactly is going on. Well, this is the time where we get to break it all down, take a look at what the stories are saying, the nitty gritty, the meat of the matter, analysis, your thoughts and contributions as well. This is Freshly Pressed on a Thursday morning here on Smooth 98.1. The Smooth Breakfast is in full flow. Believe me when I say that. My name is Ayokunmi, and welcome into a brand new day and another opportunity to tackle the main issues. And you get to be a part of it, as I mentioned, as you always do, because we love to read your messages. Get your thoughts as well and just make it a melting pot of different ideas and perspectives as well. So the WhatsApp number is 0911 0911 As I always say, please try to keep the messages as concise as possible and keep them on topic as well. And let's be mindful of our language. Very, very important. You need to help me to help you. Join us on YouTube as well. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Leave your comments there and I'll take them alongside the WhatsApp messages. If an audiovisual is your thing, WhatsApp is where you need to be. All right. Two fine gentlemen are with me in the studio, raring to go to break the stories down for us. Mr. C and Gbubemi are with me. Good morning to you, Gbubemi.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Mr. C. And good morning, dear listeners.
Mr. C, good morning to you.
Good morning, Naya. Good morning, Gbubemi. Good morning, Lagos.
Alrighty, so let's get into the nitty gritty of the issues. Let's step into the meat of the matter. And we're going to start in The Guardian this morning. And a very interesting one that caught my eye, and I had to bring this to the fore. The Senate has passed the Electric Vehicle Transition and Green Mobility Bill 2025 for its second reading, giving way for a gradual phase out of petrol powered vehicles across the country. Now, the proposed legislation sponsored by Senator Ojuzo Kalu of Abia North seeks to establish a national framework for the transition to electric vehicles, encourage local manufacturing, and strengthen Nigeria's commitment to environmental sustainability. And there was overwhelming support by the lawmakers at plenary on Tuesday. They described it as a necessary step to diversify the economy and align with global clean energy trends. But Mr. C, are we really and truly ready to align with global clean energy trends, especially where it comes to electric vehicles?
Okay, so that's a very interesting question. Now, in most parts of the developed world, there's been a slow but consistent transition from fossil powered cars and vehicles to clean energy powered cars, e.g., electric vehicles. And Nigeria, clearly noticing the trend, has now decided to initiate legislation with respect to that. So, on paper, with what they're seeking to achieve, this is a step in the right direction. Now, the proposed bill requires, as part of its provisions, that companies that bring in electric vehicles must, within a period of 3 years, establish assembly plants. Now, it's important to note that an assembly plant is different from a manufacturing plant.
Okay.
An assembly plant merely puts together already fabricated parts into a complete entity. When a manufacturing plant actually manufactures the parts before putting them together.
Mm.
So a manufacturing plant will also include an assembly line. But an assembly line may not have that
Parts.
manufacturing bit.
Okay.
And this is instructive. At Jakarta, the Abiku project of Nigeria has refused to work. Because if it worked, we would actually have proper vehicle manufacturing in country. It also says that unlicensed importers risk penalties of 500 million naira and confiscation of goods. And we see what they're trying to do. And like I said, good on paper. However, there's some possible obstacles. Now, as part of the bill, they require every petrol station in Nigeria to have charging points for electric vehicles. Fantastic. Question number one, who is going to fund that? Question number two, how's it going to be maintained? Then the bigger question, which is the big elephant in the room, given our epileptic power industry,
I was waiting for you to get there.
where's this power supposed to come from? Because if the petrol stations have to generate the power themselves, then the cost will be prohibitive. Now, let's remember that with fossil powered cars, we've struggled to have a viable and efficient national automotive policy. Another question that comes up, how many people in Nigeria today can afford to buy second-hand fossil-powered cars? I haven't even gotten to the electric vehicles, which are brand new. Look at the volume of cars that are licensed every year for the past 3 or 4 years. Note the number for those that were bought brand new, licensed brand new, and those that were licensed as already used. The latter category clearly has more numbers. So in an economy where people are struggling to survive, and despite the protestations and the suggestions of this administration that things are better and are getting better, the evidence is not there yet. Yes, they show us numbers, they show us brilliant charts, give us brilliant descriptions, but the evidence hasn't trickled down to the normal man on the street. Now, what do? Another point from this draft legislation, plants that are set up by importers are required to assemble 5,000 vehicles annually. Fantastic. Who are the people going to buy them? I invite our listeners, for those of you that have bought electric vehicles or plan to buy electric vehicles, how much did you project or how much did you actually buy? Then, when we do this gradual phase out, we don't have the timeline. What will happen to all the fossil powered cars? Because unlike other countries, we don't have vehicle yards where we scrap old cars, or I'm not aware of them. If you've heard of them within Nigeria and you know where they're located, please send us a message. Of course, they promise tax breaks, import duty waivers, and the like for importers, which is good. But I just think that this is the development that should be paused and we get the other things right, especially power. If you don't get power right, you're going to run into problems with this act, and it will join the long list of laws that we're unable to enforce properly. You're trying to phase out fossil powered cars. In the absence of power, it's still petrol. There'll petrol and diesel that will be used to power the generators
Right.
that will supposedly provide alternative power. So get the income of the people back up to 2010, 2007 to 2015 levels, get it up back first so that the people have increased disposable income, sort out your power industry. Then just maybe it might be time to revisit the bill.
Something you mentioned about phasing out the fossil fuel vehicles, because the ironic thing is that Nigeria is a heavy importer of these vehicles to Congo and so on and so forth. I mean, we're not particularly known for sending them out there, and a lot of countries these days are, like you said, moving towards the electric vehicle side of life. So truly and truly, what then happens to the fossil fuel cars that we have now at the end of the day? Anyways, that's the secondary problem, really. The primary issues, as Mr. C has highlighted, quite a number of them. But hey, here we are, loving to put the cart before the horse, in my opinion. Anyways, let's keep the bus moving here. Let us step into the Guardian, and talk about the Senate. Let's talk about crude oil losses in the Niger Delta as well. And the story says that Nigeria may have lost over $300 billion in crude oil proceeds to theft, leakages, and systemic corruption over the years, according to an interim report of the Senate Ad Hoc Committee investigating oil theft in the Niger Delta. Now, the reports presented on Wednesday by Senator Ned Nwoko of Delta North laid bare deep-rooted lapses in the management of the nation's oil and gas sector, including weak enforcement, poor measurement standards, and unaccounted exports that have drained public revenue on an unprecedented scale. This sounds like a movie that we've seen before, giving me serious feelings of deja vu. Like, I know I've heard this before more than once, and we're hearing it once again.
Exactly. So when the headline says shock, I'm like, where is the shock coming from? This we've heard it. In fact, not that we've even heard it, we hear it all the time. You understand? So I really don't know where the shock is. The other day, was it how many years ago? When was it the Nigerian Ports Authority or the NNPC discovered some pipe somewhere in rivers of Bayelsa that had been constructed and was siphoning crude oil, and that pipe, whatever, had been there since how many years? When Tony Elumelu came out how many years ago to also, decry the fact that there was a lot of bunkering going on, which was affecting um, his business. When the former CBN governor also came out, made allegations about that. We've heard this story in various ways, shapes, and forms. So for this headline to say shock, I'm like, where is the shock coming from? This isn't the first time we've heard this thing. So my question is, okay, now you people have sat down, you've done some sort of, facts and findings, you've got the information and all of that. What are you going to do about it? That's the important thing. What are we going to do about it? Let's stop pretending as if this is a new song that we're singing. We've been singing this song over and over and over. Now they've done their research. They say they need to do more forensic audits and all of that, to uncover exactly how much has been siphoned, how much has been pilfered, wasted, bunkered, and all of that. My question is, when you now do all of this, you follow the money. At some point, you will start uncovering some names. Are we going to find out who these people are? Are they going to be announced? Are their names going to be announced? Are they going to go through a legal process that prosecutes them for this? Should I even call it acts against the nation? Because this is one of our core mainstays.
Which leads me to a question. I mean, we've talked about the fact that this is nothing new. So, what has happened to the previous probes on this particular matter that have happened before?
This probe has built on that probe.
Okay, so
the
this
same
probe
way a future one will build
on this.
Yes.
Okay.
So my point is, there's no accountability at all. And while there are pretenses towards, ensuring all of that, nothing ever happens. There are no consequences for action. This is just to prove that the relevant Senate committee or committees are actually doing their job, as far as I'm concerned. Because if nothing comes out of this report, then I mean, what's exactly the point? Everybody knows that oil is being stolen. For many, in fact, didn't we just make up our expected contribution to the OPEC quota how many months ago? For a very long time, we had fallen short, and it was largely because of oil bunkering, wastes and losses and all of that. So, I mean, where is the shock coming from? My question again is, now they said, like I said, they will go further and do some other audits and all of that. When they do all of this and names come up, will they tell us who these people are? Will these people go through the relevant process of the law to hold them accountable? Will there be consequences for these actions? Will we see money coming back as a result? Will we see their assets being seized, and all of that, to get back at as much money as we can from all of this? I'm not holding my breath.
Okay, so let me just quickly jump in with a few observations. I find the figures being bandied around as alarming. So, between 2016 and 2017, according to this Senate committee, $81 billion is missing. It's just that I don't have time. If we look for the budgets for both 2016 and 2017, look at the combined revenue the government expected to make from crude oil, you won't get this sum. So I'm not sure where they're collecting these figures. And then 200 billion in unremitted untracked oil proceeds since 2015. And they claim they want to track, trace, and recover not only the proceeds, but the stolen crude oil. I agree you can track the proceeds, but stolen crude oil has been sold. You can't recover it.
Mm.
Since 2016, it's gone. Now, this is just, again, another distraction. Nothing will come out of this particular report, and we'll be back to square one.
I think for me, what the shock actually would be is if something does come out of this millionth probe on this particular issue. I think that's where the real shock would actually be. Anyways, Mr. C, let's get back into the groove here. The Vanguard is where we're pitching our tent right now, and we're picking up on another update on the recent issues surrounding Nigeria, U.S., and the Christian genocide allegations made by the U.S. So the federal government has alleged that foreign lobbyists, particularly in the United States, are driving claims of a Christian genocide in Nigeria and influencing international perceptions of the country's security challenges. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, made the claim during a press conference in Abuja on Wednesday, stating that government findings show a deliberate attempt to misrepresent Nigeria's internal security situation. I'll let you just jump into it.
Okay. Thank you, Ayo. So the minister was speaking at the press conference on Wednesday and he made this statement. And I think that they're a bit insensitive and lacking the required compassion because whether the minister likes it or not, whether he believes it or not, they have actually been attacked. People have died, and the people who've died have lost ones who were survivors. People have lost their homes, lost their properties. Now, I want to quote the minister verbatim because, in one breath, he's part of the government that says, oh, there's no Christian genocide, that Nigerians of all walks of life, all religious persuasions are being attacked. Now, this is the minister, and I'm quoting him verbatim, that while insecurity remains a serious concern affecting communities across the country, there is no evidence that any religious group is being specifically targeted. Mr. Minister, please stand in one particular spot so we know what we're listening to and what you're doing. You cannot come out and say there has been no genocide. Then, in the very next breath, you're acknowledging that every time you've received information about religious attacks being planned, that the government has taken action. The two statements are like what we call in mathematics parallel lines. Parallel lines always look at each other, but they never meet at any particular point in time. And beyond all of this, the government of which you're a part of has already started taking steps to address some of the concerns raised by America. Now, you can deny all day long, all night long. And I find the position of the government truly disturbing, truly concerning. You are focused on the Christian bits. Other Nigerians of other religious beliefs and persuasions have been killed and continue to be killed. Leave the description. Are Nigerians being killed unlawfully? And the answer is a resounding yes. What is the Nigerian government doing about it? That is the real issue on the table. Stop running around distracting yourself. And it's sad because he's the official spokesperson for the government. So if he's saying this, it's unless the government comes out to denounce his position, we have to take it that this is the position of the government. Make up your mind. It's either that there were religious attacks and you're determined to stop them going forward, or you're saying there were no religious attacks. And if you say there were no religious attacks, it lines up with government's position that on the 20th of October 2020, nobody was shot, nobody was killed at the toll plaza. Makes no sense. If government wants to break that ever widening gulf of distrust between it and the people, it has to be more accountable, it has to be more open, it has to be more transparent. That is the only way. You cannot continue to govern by propaganda, by lies. America commissioned a study which spanned at least 3 to 4 months before they came out with their decision. This wasn't a decision plucked out of thin air like a magician. This is a decision based on results from a study that was carried out. How many Nigerians believe that the areas mentioned in the US statement are actually safe? How many ministers in this present administration can travel to those areas by road and then spend a night or two there? So let's put everything in its proper perspective. You've been called out, receive the criticism, improve your processes, improve your efforts. And when you do that, like I always say here, if you do the right thing, we will commend you, we will praise you. But when you do the wrong thing, you continue dropping the ball carelessly, of course, we're going to call you out. That's just the way of life.
Let me take a message or two before I come back to you, Gbubemi. This is Sister Delgado who says, Mr. C, good morning. There's no problem regarding the charging stations for electric vehicles. The solar system is enough to charge these EVs. My biggest challenge is for the federal government to encourage local manufacturers in terms of these electric vehicles rather than their importation, because I can tell you that Nigerian engineers are very good at building or assembling these electric vehicles.
Uncle Cisco, I agree with you completely. But the question still remains whether it's solar, whether it's wind, whatever renewable energy source, who is paying for it? That is the big question.
This is Tali says, we like to joke, no lights for basic living. The same Senate that pushed the bill to ban the import of solar panels. Well, the Senate did not push a bill to ban the import of solar panels. That particular incident, I think that was by the Ministry of Science and Technology. The former Minister of Science and Technology, Uche Naji, is the one that mulled that. So it wasn't a legislative thing. But anyway, she now says they are now allegedly rooting for renewable energy. We like to joke. Can they focus on solving pressing problems relevant to improving the lot of Nigerians? And Rexley in Surulere says, when President Kennedy started the dream to take America to the moon, imagine a Mr. C there to remind him Americans don't have basic civil rights yet. The point is, all progress starts with an aspiration, then actions to make that aspiration reality. Yes, we don't have enough power now, but when we put in the work, over time, we'll find today's vision as tomorrow's reality. We need to have faith in ourselves.
Okay, I'm sorry. Whoever this is has gotten it completely wrong. When Kennedy started the dream to take America to the moon, the basic infrastructure was in place. They didn't decide to start looking for it at that point. Power was settled, still make all the processes required to make a spacecraft, a rocket, were in place. So the proper thing is have everything on the ground, then start. You must have a plan. You can't start building a house without a foundation, except you're a magician. And that is what I'm saying. You pass the act, you don't have power. The people, the eventual consumers, don't have the resources to buy the vehicles and the stage in the act. What are we doing?
This is from Victor, who says, good morning, I am Mr. C and Gbubemi. So it's until the US intervenes on insecurity in the nation, now the federal government is making plans to stop the killings. This government is not serious about fighting insecurity. All right, let's get back into the stories here, Mr. C. I need you to weigh in on this particular one because there's a legal aspect to it. It's in the punch, and it's two parts. I'll merge everything together. Now, the Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Olorunare Jimoh, has defended his decision to declare activist and publisher of Sahara reporters Omoyele Sowore wanted, insisting that the action was taken within his constitutional powers to maintain public order. Now, he was speaking on a channel's television program on Wednesday. He said he acted lawfully to prevent what he described as a planned violent protest in Lagos. Now, in the same vein, the Federal High Court in Lagos has issued an interim order restraining the Lagos State Police command and its commissioner of police from arresting, harassing, or intimidating Shore. And this, it just seems like party A says this, party B says that. This back and forth, it's getting a bit tedious here.
Exactly. The song and dance with story, I mean, it's getting too tiring. He pops up in the media one too many times, sometimes it can seem like a distraction. Okay, so the commissioner of police says that he had intelligence that he was going to conduct a violent protest, but he hasn't told us what that information was or what the evidence pointing towards the violent protest was. All they said was that they saw a vehicle with a generator and a speaker, and then they apprehended that vehicle and seized the items, and there's no evidence as to the supposed violence of the protest. So Shore was going to go to Orange Shoki to go and protest based on the demolition of the buildings there. And they had said that he also said and posted on his X profile as well that he was going to cordon off parts of the Third Mainland Bridge. Now I know that you can't organize a protest without a police permit or something.
No, that's
it's
not the law.
It's not law.
That's
Okay,
not
so
the
it's
law.
just an assumption. Okay, fine. So my point is, he had said that he was going to organize a protest. You know where he was going to organize the protest. You've said that you sent your men there to safeguard the area and ensure that nothing happens. Yeah, so why don't you wait for him to come? Why don't you wait for him to come? You are a law enforcement body. He has given advance notice of his protest. Why are you declaring him wanted? And you'd even said that he even said, and thankfully he emphasized that it wasn't the commissioner of police, it wasn't the IGP who declared Shore wanted. He said he did it by himself. So I mean, what's the point? So I don't. Protesting is not a. There's no law against protesting as far as I know, and I always say that protesting is sort of like the last point where people get after they've tried and exhausted all forms of communication to make their voices heard. It should never come to the form of a protest. So to be honest, I really don't understand what this man is alleging. Like I said, there's too much of a song and dance between Shore and law enforcement authorities for me to take these things seriously sometimes.
Okay, Mr. C, what's the legal side here? Commissioner says he can do it. Courts has granted protection. What's happening?
So there's a procedure for these things, right? So first of all, there has to be a reasonable suspicion that a crime has been or an offense has been committed. Then the police
Wait, has been or will be?
has been.
Okay.
Then an investigation starts. You can't investigate an event that hasn't happened. Then you invite the accused person. The accused person does not show up, right? And starts to evade the process. You then go to a court and present your facts to the court. The court issues a warrant of arrest. It is when you're unable to execute the warrant of arrest, you then publicly issue the wanted notice. Now, Shore's argument before the court was to the effect that I was not summoned, I was not given an invitation. I did not refuse to honor an invitation I never received. So, what exactly formed the basis of you declaring me wanted? And if you track his history with the police, every time they've invited him or summoned him, he showed up. They've never had to look for him or send out a crack team to arrest him. So it beats my imagination why the commissioner of police would declare him wanted. Yes, the commissioner is right. He can have him declared wanted. But the Lagos State Police Command follow the process I just outlined? They are the only ones that have that information. That information is not in the public domain. And the court was convinced by what Mr. Shore presented before it, that he then said there's an interim order at the next adjourned date, come and argue the substantive motion. Now, part of what the commissioner relied on for his justification in is declaring him wanted is this nonsense trope of we received intelligence. Please, can we stop this? This is the 21st century. Can this end with 2025? 2026, sit down. If you have to use artificial intelligence, please use it. Come up with better reasons. Come up with fresh reasons.
All right, time to take your messages. This is Victor. Victor says, okay, I just took that one. Apologies. This is Isiaka in, uh, is it? Okay, this message says, good morning, I am Mr. Gbubemi. And if a magician builds a house without a foundation, it'll be a hallucination, which is still not real. I mean, we've heard of government magic before, haven't we? This is from Michael Ayokunmi, who says, where are the CNG cars at the moment? Is it a success? Should it not be cheaper than petrol and electricity? I have low current supply in my area. Appliances have been damaged. Will I get stabilizers to charge the electric cars on band A? Well, maybe there won't be band A at that point in time. They are working on everything, in a sequential manner. Joshua says, good morning. People are hungry and not on their land. So the next thing is electric cars. How now? Gilbert Musa in Festac says, on the EV proposal, Mr. C has said it all. First things first, we need to get legacy infrastructure well grounded or rooted before considering the EV opinion. On stolen crude oil, the question is, how come illegal pipelines were constructed without the relevant agencies of the NNPCL knowing about it, despite an independent report in 2013 revealing illegal bunkering of oil through these illegal pipelines? This is Isiaka from Agege. That was Tajin that sent that message. I got it all mixed up. Isiaka from Agege says about oil theft. Miami, Florida happens to be the base of most of these ex-Niger Delta militants who, through illegal oil theft and bunkering, are able to live a life of luxury there, fly private jets, indulge in extravagances with zero threat of accountability. Isiaka, you seem to have a lot of information about where they are. Is there something that you're not telling? Hmm? You seem to know that Miami go that they are in. Please give us the updates if you have it. Joseph Meji in Silver States in Ejigbo says, why plenty motion but no movement? It's obvious that the government is either clueless or adamant about ending terrorism, rather than settling down to fix the menace, but it's propaganda upon propaganda, which makes the invasion inevitable. There's no invasion coming, Joseph. Let's calm down. And okay, it's Joseph's birthday today. Happy birthday to you, Joseph Many. Thank you for all you do and for always keeping it tuned. Long life, prosperity, and all the beautiful things of life shall come your way. Amazing stuff. Barrister Danukuda Inigodo says, good morning, crew. The federal government should focus on improving the security situation instead of dissipating energy on denying the existence of a genocide. Ajayi Oluniluwa in Magodo GRA Sherry says, good morning, Ayokunmi, Mr. C, and Gbubemi. I don't see how these grand ideas of transitioning to EVs will work in a country that barely generates 5,000 megawatts of electricity for a population of 250 million people. Our legislators should first concentrate on legislation that will create the conducive environment for good governance to make the basic needs of the people available. All right, and this is Victor. Victor says the bill for EVs is to give Dangote refinery some headache about demand for his products in the long term. Dangote has been exporting. He can export his products. I don't think that'll be a problem for him, really. This is Tony Marine Beach, who says instead of the back and forth rhetorics from the government, President Tinubu should start taking the hard decisions to change the narrative. I expect him to come up with statements like no more wielding of AK-47s by non-state actors, stop roaming of animals, and commence ranching immediately. Kill anyone under any guise of religion and face the full weight of the law and so on. But will his second-term ambition allow him to take such decisions? I'm listening with keen interest to every reply from those in government. If I may find clues to the content of the hoarded list of the, in quotes, 400 wise men. Okay, I think I know what you mean by that. For those who know, you know. All right, we need to wrap it up this morning. Thank you all so much for your messages. Very much appreciated. Thank you to you, Mr. C, and with me for joining me this morning. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for having me, and let's close out the week.
All right, let's close out the week in style, most definitely. And style is what we do here at Smooth 98.1. It's going to be all about entertainment at 8:15 on the Grapevine. I have a special musical guest coming in to talk about music and everything smooth. Keep it tuned.
The headlines, the stories, the news, in-depth analysis